guaranteed purple and gold stats. First thing first, you're gonna wanna lock him so you don't make the mistake of... Hello guys, ever since I've made this build, I'm always at the top of the damage chart. Look at this damage difference, almost 100k. And this build has the fastest clear time for solo bosses compared to the similarly upgraded other builds I've tried. I'll show you a slow-mo demonstration so you can understand how the attack rotation works. Basically, no regular or light attacks. You start with the spear's 2 special attacks and 1 charged heavy attack, then switch to your sword to do the same. 2 special, 1 charged heavy. Let me show you from here. You have light attack, heavy attack, and then 2 special attacks. One of them is called martial skill, and the other one is called special skill. But if you want to make it easy to remember, you can call this the bottom special attack, then you do the top special attack, and then you do the heavy charged attack. And then you switch to sword by using this tab button, which will do the dual weapon skill damage. Then you're going to follow with the top special attack, and then the bottom special attack, and then go with the heavy charged attack. So this is the combo suggested by the game. Now, as for the build, if you're new to the game, what you're going to want to do is go to improvement guide and go to path guide and select the second one. This is the build that I'm mainly following, but I'm using different inner ways for more damage. So what you're going to want to do is hit apply path, and the game's just going to sort of direct you to the right direction so you can have the necessary gears and stuff. It's going to recommend you the stuff you need for this build. So for example, as you can see here, recommended, and just spam these 2 easy bosses and you're going to be easily farming all the gears real fast. So the profile shows you the exact same thing I just told you. So this is the demonstration. This is the rotation you're going to want to follow, but against different bosses, you can change it up a little bit to suit your playstyle. Now, as for tuning attributes, this is super important. You're going to want to look for minimum physical attack, maximum physical attack, and affinity rate. But there are a lot of other things that you're going to want to have. So for example, as you can see that we have the Bell Strike Arsenal, right? So if you have max Bell Strike attack, it is good and it is recommended. Affinity rate recommended, but Stone Split attack, these are not good to have. But honestly, don't worry too much about it because these are only tier 51 gear. You need to be more careful and you need to grind harder when you're gonna hit the tier 61 gear chest. That's when you're really gonna wanna min-max the stats. Also, there's stuff like agility. This is not recommended by the game, but it is still pretty good. Bell Strike attack, again, this is good. So same thing with your armor. Body, what is body? This is basically increases your HP. Critical rate, it's not recommended by the game, but it's good to have. And to have an easier understanding, you're going to want to click on this detail button, right? And it's going to show you the attribute. So like I said, what does the body do? It converts into your character's HP based on a certain ratio. For agility, it's good to have because it increases your critical rate. Momentum increases your affinity rate. Now, what is affinity damage? In this game, there's normal attack and then there's precision attack, which you're going to do pretty often. And crit rate will only proc if you do a precision attack. So crit rate is based on your precision rate, but affinity rate can happen with or without precision rate. Affinity rate is basically a damage multiplier on your maximum physical attacks. And you can look at the colorful numbers, the golden or the yellow numbers popping up on the screen, and you can understand that you're doing crit damage and affinity damage. Now, a super important thing regarding tuning gears is that you need to be very careful when selecting the items for tuning. For example, these items can give you guaranteed purple and gold stats. First thing first, you're going to want to lock them so you don't make the mistake of wasting them for nothing. Another thing is you should be using them on the 3rd or 4th slots, providing you have good stats on the first 2. Another important thing is using the attunement stones, which is going to give you the 5th slot. Now they are pretty rare, but you don't have to worry about it because these are only level 51 gear. So that was a good one. However, you should be super careful when you're using these for level 61 or tier 61 gear. Physical penetration. Okay, that was nice. I got 2 good stats. Let's do this one. This is recommended by the game already since we've selected the path. And boom. Havenquaker Spear special skill damage boost plus 1.2%. Tuning. Strategic Sword Martial skill damage boost plus 1.6%. Thank you very much. And you will only use them if you already have the good stats on the first 4 slots. Only then you're going to want to spend the attunement stone on the 5th slot. So that's all about tuning. All right, now let's go to talents. Here, you're going to want to increase these stuff, right? Maximum physical attack and crit rate, crit damage, precision rate, affinity damage. All of the things you want to put points into. And another thing you're going to want to do is collect the oddity, like the bugs and stuff like that. And you're going to want to turn them in here. And there is another place in Kaifeng. Collecting the oddities and turning them in is extremely rewarding and heavily boosts your attributes. So do that as well. Now let's talk about the mystic skill. I basically just go with these two, right? This one is super important because this is a really good gap closer. And if you combine Guardian Palm with Cloud Step, you're going to dish out more damage. But mystic skill is really up to you. Whatever you have more fun playing with, go with it. But this is where things get tricky. Now you're going to want to use Sword Horizon, must have, because it's going to add an additional combo to your sword special attacks. Basically, you press the same button again when you see your hand or the screen flash, but actually you can just keep spamming the button and it's going to happen automatically. It's just going to give you a ton more damage, especially with the bleed explosion. Now for the second inner way, I'm using Wolf Chaser's Art, but I've also used 5-fold bleed and I've got similar performance. But if you're using sword more often than the spear, maybe you can go with 5-fold bleed. Now what Wolf Chaser's Art does, it affects one of your special attack from the spear, which is the first attack we do, the Sober Sorrow. Now, based on the number of hits you have on the enemies, you're going to get some damage buff. So fewer than 5 hits, it's going to give you Water Drop. 5 or more hits, Spring Surge. More than 10 hits, it's going to give you River Flow. So these are the damage buff. Now, using the Wolf Chaser Inner Way, it just reduces the number of hits you need to proc this damage buff. So it's pretty good to have. Now, as for the third inner way, I'm using Bitter Seasons. This is really good. It poisons the enemy. So you already have the fire buff from the quick consumables, and then you're already dealing bleed damage. And on top of that, now you have poison. And the poison damage in and of itself is not super strong, but it actually reduces the damage reduction of the target. So they will receive more damage. And as you can see that I've upgraded to tier 1, which means the target will become even more squishy. And the fourth skill is Morale Chant, which is just straight up more damage. Now, the game suggests this one, Adaptive Steel, but you don't want to use it because there's a lot of chances involved. So 10% chance, so here's the chance, to apply 1 stack of bleed to the target when dealing affinity damage, and you have another chance to deal affinity damage. So I would suggest avoiding this one. So that's pretty much it for the build. I try to keep it short but easy to understand. If you have any question, feel free to ask them in the comment section, and I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like in the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you on the next one.